Well, good afternoon. The H1B guy here, and today the H1B guy live celebrating the 1 year anniversary of the H1B guy platform here on YouTube, the H1Bguy.com, the H1B guy on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. So excited to be here with you this afternoon to celebrate this incredible milestone that's made possible by you. But before we get started, I wanted to ask you, if you haven't already, to please subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube and like this video so that I can continue to produce more content like this for you. I also wanted to mention the H1B Guy offers a variety of consulting services. I help businesses and individuals solve complex work authorization issues in the recruitment process while bringing awareness to employment-based immigration benefits. If I can help you, please reach out. I'd love to hear how. Today's live stream is brought to you by RecruiterNetworks.com, the smart solution for digital perm ads and local job postings since 2001. And also by Path to Canada. Path to Canada is the ideal plan B for high-skilled immigrants currently located in the U.S. whose status may be uncertain. If you're facing an H-1B denial or OPT expiration, don't get caught off guard. Make sure you have a plan B, and Path to Canada is your answer. Well, as I said a few minutes ago, it's just hard to believe that we're 1 year into the H1B Guy platform, and there's just so many folks out there who, I need and owe a huge thank you to. But I wanted to single out some individuals that have been very important to the success of the H1B Guy platform. Again, there's so many of you that I've interacted with and had the opportunity to be introduced to have conversations with, and honestly, just to get to know over the last 12 months. Back when I started the H1B Guy, it came to me as you've heard my story many times. My role was impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The staffing firm that I was working for at the time, unfortunately, could no longer keep me on. And 3 weeks later, I registered the H1B Guy LLC here in the great state of Georgia. And I haven't looked back. I remember June 29th of last year so vividly. It really had gotten to a point where I'd figured out how to do a live stream, had created the YouTube channel, and decided that this platform that I use here called Restream was the exact solution that I was looking for. So I wrote my first post, my first script, and I was so nervous that day. I remember it completely, and I put it out there, and guess what? I had audio problems literally day one. And so I posted it again and went back through it, and here we are now, a year later, and just hard to believe that this year has just literally gone by in a blink. But as I said, there's just so many of you out there that I need to thank. But I want to take a few minutes here just to run through some individuals who have played a huge part in the success of the H1B Guy platform here on YouTube, the H1Bguy.com. First of all, I have to thank my wife, who has allowed me to turn this passion into a career. My kids, who have spent many of hours with me here in the office working to their own devices, and just thank you for allowing me to go chase my dream. I also wanted to thank my friend Rebecca. Rebecca believed in me on day one, and she gave me the confidence that I was onto something really big. My friend Richard Allman, who I met very early on in July. Richard Allman is with RecruiterNetworks.com, was the first sponsor and partner here on the H1B Guy platform. And Richard saw something in my message that I think he realized was going to be a big benefit to a lot of people. And I want to thank Richard personally for being a mentor, a partner, and just a really good friend. Thank you, Richard. To my friend Mark Palavopoulos, who I was introduced to by my friend Roman. Mark is with Path to Canada and Syndesis. Thank you so much, Mark, for trusting me to promote both of your brands. Both brands are a service which I believe are a necessary option. Right now, based on the current immigration climate here in the US, you have to have a plan B if you're a high skilled immigrant. And I don't see any better options out there right now than Syndesis and Path to Canada. So thank you, Mark, and the team at Syndesis and Path to Canada for your continued support and partnership. I wanted to start off by thanking one particular individual first, and that's my friend Maddie. Maddie, thank you so much for having the faith and trust in me to come on the Stamp It Out series, episode 1, and bringing your wife Shakti at the same time. Thanks to both of you for coming on and letting me know that there was an interest in telling high-skilled immigrant stories, and that this was one of the first concepts for content that I had when I started creating the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube. So thank you, Maddie. I also wanted to thank Ramya, Himanshu, my good friend Christine Mikolajuk, my good friend Dr. Oscar Cabrisis, Deepu Ashok, thank you. Dr. Raj Karnatak, thank you. Dr. G, thank you. My good friend Samir, my good luck charm, thank you, Samir. And my friend Dr. Pranav, thanks to all of you for trusting me to tell your story. I really appreciate it. It means a lot, and it was my privilege. To my friend Deep and the contributors from Improve the Dream, we've now done 6 different videos, 5 live streams, and a produced video around the Documented Dreamer series. Thank you for allowing me to be a platform for your voice. It means so much to me that I actually have the ability to help bring awareness to an issue around documented dreamers and aging out kids, kids who identify as being American, and most of which, as we've told on this channel, and if you've heard their stories, have been here since they were infants. They know no other life. And so thank you to all of the contributors at Improve the Dream for coming on and sharing your story. To my friends Keely and Divya, who were brave enough to come on and speak about the atrocities that are still going on in the H4EA delays. These delays have caused extensive disruptions in their lives. And, you know, the interesting thing about the H4EAD delays, and it's something that I've talked about a good bit, is we're talking about 90% women. And these are women that have lost their right to work, their right to provide, and in some cases, their careers. So I hope that we are heading in a better direction as it relates to processing delays, specifically around the H4EAD. One of the big reforms I would like to see is H4EAD adjudications coincide with H1B extensions as they happen. But the good news is that we are now beginning to see electronic filings happen for H4EADs. Hopefully we'll see that become a viable option and help increase processing times in the near future. Wanted to thank my friend Betsy and the entire team at Tier 4 Group. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your organization. It's my privilege to work with such an excellent group of very talented individuals. Just really appreciate the time, and thank you so much, Betsy, for the opportunity. To the handful of other organizations that have allowed me to help solve complex work authorization issues that occur during the recruitment cycle, thank you. There's nothing more that I enjoy than helping you avoid risk. And I look forward to our continued partnership over the next several years. I also wanted to say to each and every one of you who I've had the chance to consult with on a one-on-one basis, I hope that I was able to provide you with a peace of mind and an honest approach to your unique situation. I provide non-legal opinions, and a lot of times, it's one of those things where I want to give you what I think is going to give you the best probability to succeed. And so ultimately, a lot of times that may be an uncomfortable recommendation. And so I hope that you understand that any advice that I give here is non legal and it is merely my opinion. And it is intended for your entertainment and educate non-educational purposes. I also wanted to thank my friends Roman, Jan, Jen, Gene, Ruben, Brent, Chris, and Keith for their friendship, support, and advice through this crazy journey. But last but not least, I wanted to thank all of my YouTube subscribers, all of my Twitter followers, all of my Telegram subscribers, each and every one of my Facebook followers, my Instagram followers, and all of my LinkedIn connections. Your engagement, your interaction, your views, your likes, your dislikes, your comments. Thank you for your feedback, and I just hope that I can continue to improve on the quality of the content that I produce here on this channel and on the H1B Guy platform. I cannot do this without your support, so thank each and every one of you. Wanted to ask you again, if you haven't already, to please like this video, subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube, and click the bell for notifications so that you're notified anytime we go live, like I have here this afternoon for the H1B Guy Live 1-year anniversary celebration. And also, if you have any questions or comments, definitely try to get to those towards the end of the stream here. I wanted to talk about what's ahead. So, when we look at kind of the next 12 months and what lies ahead here for the H1B Guy, I have a really huge breaking announcement that I'm going to talk about right now, which is beginning in July. I'm very proud to announce that perm-ads.com will be a new partner and sponsor here on the H1B Guy platform. Perm-ads.com is the industry leader in providing a seamless experience for employers and immigration attorneys navigating the complex perm recruitment ad phase of the labor certification process. So look for more from me on perm-ads.com in the future. And a huge thank you to Carl Balsmeyer for trusting me to bring more awareness to perm-ads.com. I also wanted to mention that I'm working on modifying some of the content that I produce here on the H1B Guy channel, including a different format to the H1B Guy news and a few of the other monthly series that I produce. Again, this is just an intentional modification, if you will, adjustment to increase the quality of the content that we produce and make it more relevant for you, the audience. Also, I wanted to mention that sometime in the next 2 months, I'll be launching an entirely new business unit that will be aimed at bridging a significant gap in the global talent pipeline. Look for more from me in the very near future on this, and this is something that I'm really excited about, and I've been working on my own and with a lot of mentorship and guidance over the last few months in terms of tweaking the technology and making sure that it is exactly where it needs to be before we launch. But again, stay tuned on that. I'm really excited to bring that initiative to you, and I think it's going to be something that's going to be a huge benefit to a lot of individuals and employers. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about here before we get into any Q&A that any of you out there may have is I wanted to talk about some of the reform that's going on out there right now. As we broke last Thursday on the Documented Dreamer Series Live Episode 5, this past Friday, Representative Deborah Ross released a letter that had, I believe, 36 other signatures on it asking for protections for documented dreamers to be included in the update to DACA that's supposed to be released sometime in August. But as was mentioned, I believe yesterday, Representative Ross is going to be holding a live session on this Thursday, July 1st, to discuss the text of her America's Children Act, which will make permanent changes to the CSPA, as well as create a permanent pathway for children who have grown up in documented status. So again, these are the documented dreamers, and a lot of the contributors that we featured from Improve the Dream. Just wanted to say a huge thank you to Representative Ross and the entire team at Improve the Dream, who's worked tirelessly to a standalone bill that's going to be dedicated to all documented dreamers. So awesome news there. Looking forward to reading that text and honestly seeing how the America's Children Act will grow over the next several weeks, and in terms of what the text will look like, and the interest and the support that it could gain in the House of Representatives. I also wanted to hit very briefly on the USCIS performance data, which was released for the Q1 and Q2. And quite honestly, a lot of you reached out to me and asked me if I'd seen this data, because I think, very clearly shows how backed up the processing is for USCIS as it relates to I-485 adjustments of status. And the interesting thing, and we've talked about this, is 262,000 employment-based visas available for this fiscal year 2021. But remember that on a given year, generally it's 140,000 to 155,000 that are processed annually by USCIS. So if you add that into the pandemic, right, this sort of pre and post COVID world that now we're living in, where we've continually seen Department of Homeland Security, USCIS, Department of State use the pandemic as a reason for these delays that we're experiencing. So what I have to say is that data gives the impression that we're looking at more than 100,000 spillover visas that are going to go unused for fiscal year 2021. The one thing that I will say is that, last year, and as was alluded to in one of the Chats with Charlie episodes, he didn't think that they were going to be using the allocated number usage for fiscal year 2020 as far back as June of last year for the end of the last fiscal year, but the USCIS was able to ramp up their processings and was able to use all but about 10%. Unfortunately, I don't foresee that being the case here. I still remain hopeful that they can kick it into overdrive like last year. But I just don't think that there's any way that the entire 262,000 allocation this year is going to be used, which, honestly means wasted visa numbers. And that's just a shame. It's really just a huge shame, especially for those that are mired in the green card backlog, that have seen some of this aggressive movement that's happened in the visa bulletin, but have continued to ask the question of how is USCIS going to process, right? And so I think that that's one of the things that, a lot of folks now seeing this performance data are beginning to question. And I think rightfully so. You saw David Beer on Twitter comment about it based on a comment from the Chats with Charlie episode 4, which aired yesterday. I am working on my top 20 things I learned, which should release at some point tomorrow. But yeah, when you look at that performance data, you look at where they stand, and honestly, you just get a feeling that if they process over 160,000 cases in the entire fiscal year of 2021, then that's still going to mean that there are, tens of thousands of unused numbers that now aren't able to be reclaimed. They are wasted. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to be very interesting to see what USCIS is able to accomplish, over the next month and a half. Of course, we have the anticipated August visa bulletin, which I think is going to give us some signs as to what we can expect going into September and October. So just wanted to ask you again to like this video. If you haven't subscribed to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube, and click the bell for notifications. Also wanted to mention that if you're looking for ways that you can support the H1B Guy platform, you can do so currently through this live stream and the super chat function. You can also do so through buymeacoffee.com/the H1B Guy. If you enjoy this content and want to help me create more quality content, any of those contributions that are received go right back into the technology in the H1B Guy platform. I actually have a paid Restream account now. I just realized that I still have the logo up. I guess I can take that off. But wanted to see what questions you guys have. I know that there are some of you that are currently on the stream. If you have any questions, any comments, my good friend Ram joined in here. Hey, happy anniversary. Thanks for all the things that you do. The one thing that I like is that the way you spread awareness of the various hurdles that one faces in the EB backlog. Keep it going. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the point, Ram, right? You and I have talked several times. The cycle that was created when you look at the country caps, right? And what I mean by that is that, as I mentioned earlier, there's 140,000 employment-based visas that are allocated annually, and no country can use more than 7% of that 140,000. And then when you take into account that 70% of H-1B visas are issued to individuals from India, and then another, 20% to individuals from China, you have two countries that basically are issued 90% of all H-1B visas that are issued through the annual H-1B lottery. And what that does is that, the H-1B visa as a whole has a maximum stay of up to 6 years. But in order to extend that maximum stay, employers can sponsor individuals for employment-based green card, which requires a perm labor certification. Now, once that employment-based green card has the perm labor has been certified, and that's the first step. The second step, I-140, is approved. Then we have what's established as a priority date. And that priority date for individuals from India and China is something that we track through the visa bulletin. And as of the last couple of months, individuals that are in employment-based preference 2 from India, those individuals have waited over 3,800 days for their priority date to come current. And so I've been a proponent of a first come, first serve system. A lot of the discussions I've had on this channel have been around a merit-based point system and how that would alleviate a lot of the issues that happen in the cycle. But the thing is, and when you think about what the cycle is that it's a money-making machine for a lot of individuals. And unfortunately, when that's the case, that's why you see lack of reform or any lack of real motivation for reform. Over the last several years, we've seen this bill, the Fairness for High-Skilled Immigrants Act, and now the EAGLE Act, which has very similar text to that Fairness for High-Skilled Immigrants Act. And, I think we're beginning to see some of the changing of the opinions of a lot of the lawmakers out there, that there needs to be reform. There needs to be reform that helps address the green card backlog, that removes country caps, but there also needs to be some reform around the H-1B visa. Now more than ever, since USCIS has gone to this electronic filing, Now more than ever, it's created demand, and the value of the H-1B visa has never been higher, because employers can, for around $15 to $20 in cost, prepare an electronic filing for the lottery. And then once selected, then they prepare the full petition. So it's a um, cost-saving policy, not only for the employer, but for USCIS. Now they don't have to return thousands of cases that weren't selected and pay the shipping costs around that. So, but again, it comes back to, bringing awareness. What are we bringing awareness to? We're bringing awareness to the cycle, to the fact that, two countries take up 90% of the H-1B visas, but yet when we look at employment-based preferences, there's a 7% country quota on country of birth, for that employment-based category, which is the 140,000 annual. Now, what's really interesting, and we've talked about a good bit, is that when we have years like we have right now, the 262,000 number, so 140,000 plus an additional 122,000. When you have that, anything over the 140 is irrespective of country of birth and comes down to priority date. So it's first come, first served on priority date, and it starts at EB1, then works down to EB2, then EB3. And so that's what's really interesting when you see spillover, and why we've seen some of this movement. And what's so concerning when you look at, is USCIS really going to waste 100,000 employment-based visas that could be allocated? Because you have derivatives, right? Derivatives meaning spouses and dependents that are counted in that number. It's not just the individuals. And as we've talked about over the last year, it's estimated somewhere to be around 1.2 million. It's a pretty significant number if you think about that. So, hey, Raj, thank you for jumping in. Really appreciate your support, and glad you could join me here today. Hey, Napur, thank you. Congratulations. Happy anniversary. Many, many more to come with Gold Button. Yeah, we'll get there, man. It's going to take some time. I think I looked earlier, creeping up on 1,900 subscribers here on YouTube. So hopefully sometime in the next week or so, I'll cross over that 2,000 mark, and I can't do it without guys like you, Napur. So thank you for your support. And really just appreciate you joining me here this afternoon to celebrate. Hey, Darshan, how are you? I really appreciate your kind words, and thanks for taking time to jump in here today. Your priority date is November 2013 in EB2. After looking at USCIS processing, I don't think EB2 will data filing will cover my date in October of 2021. Yeah, that's really interesting. I felt like, and I'll talk about this some more, but the mood yesterday of Charlie was a little bit more somber than it had been in the previous 3 episodes of chats with Charlie. So that leads me to believe that I think we're going to see a lot slower movement in final action and dates of filing. But one of the things that I do want you to think about, and this is, I think, where you're going with that, is that Charlie mentioned that the dates of filing that have moved are what he expects final actions to achieve in fiscal year 2022, which will be interesting to see how that happens over the next couple of months. Because when you look at final action for EB2 for India right now, we have June 1st of 2011, and then the dates of filing are December 1st, 2011. So even if dates of filing held, which it sounds like they may over the next couple of months, that leads me to believe that we may see anywhere in the range of 3 months forward movement for EB2 for India for final action over the August and September bulletins. But doesn't really account for, your November 2013. Yeah, I honestly would have. I was thinking, before yesterday's chats with Charlie, I was thinking we could see that January 2013, somewhere into to June of 2013, as a number that comes up. But now, again, who knows? This is what's so difficult about these Visa Bulletin predictions, is that you basically have the Charlie Oppenheim saying that it's too difficult for him to say with any certainty what movement is going to be like for August right now. Now that's interesting, because that leads me to believe that the August bulletin should be put out a little bit later if he's still running his calculations. So you're thinking to file downgrade EB2 to EB3, so I can at least get your EAD. I mean, that's a move a lot of people have done. I've not been a big proponent of the downgrade, but I think if you're watching the chats with Charlie and you're reading between the lines and kind of piecing together all of the other so-called pundits out there that talk about the Visa Bulletin and do their predictions, that don't come on and do any grading, they just predict and they move on. Listen, they would tell you, right, go for it. And, you go for it because you don't know. There's this fear of retrogression. Charlie didn't seem to think that was going to be the case in the chats yesterday. But again, I think, there's this growing sentiment that right now you've got to go for the downgrade while you can. My concern is the processing times on the downgrade. And if the final action dates for EB2 start to really move and we get this number usage up, then you're in EB3, or your processing is still going on, right? You're waiting. You're not approved. You're waiting. I think that's the challenge of the downgrade is the wait, Darshan. But there's a lot of people that have done it. I mean, I think we've heard numbers of somewhere over 40 to 50,000 downgrades have occurred since October of 2020, which is a significant number. That leads me to believe that we're going to start to see a little bit of a slowdown in the EB2 advanced forward movement that we've seen very aggressively. I mean, July was over a year. So again, we'll continue to monitor it. But thanks for jumping in here today, Darshan. Really appreciate it. I just wanted to mention again, if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the H1B Guy channel here on YouTube. Click the bell for notifications so that you're notified anytime we go live. I did actually decide to stream out live to Facebook today, just as a little wink and a nod. I streamed out to my personal Facebook page unintentionally, because I really didn't understand how the technology worked back on June 29th. But right now, this is also on Facebook Live to the H1B Guy page on Facebook. So if you haven't liked that, you can always go to, if you have a Facebook account, like the H1B Guy on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter at the H1B Guy, also on Instagram at the H1B Guy, and then the H1B Guy channel as well on Telegram. Napur asks, what do you think from your past experience? When do you think EB2 India filing date, July 2021, will reach final action? Just a thought. Thank you and keep going. Good luck. So I'm assuming that you're asking me, when do I think that the filing date for July, so that's the December 1st, 2011, will be current from not current, but final action dates will meet that date. Honestly, I think October. I think we'll see final action dates for India EB2 be at or above this December 1st, 2011 date of filing, which is currently listed on the July 2021 bulletin. I think, kind of based on what I gathered from Charlie, more of a slowdown in the EB3, and more advanced movement will continue in EB2. I hope that helps answer your question. Hey, Ashutosh, how are you? Thanks for joining me here today. Nice to see you. Hey, Ashwani, how are you? When do I think the priority dates for April 2014 EB3 will reach final or filing? Yeah, that's an interesting one. I think 14s. I mean, you're right on that line, right? April. So you've got what, March, February. So um, you're in that 2 month range. I think what's going to be interesting will be one, if the dates of filing don't move over August and September. I think that when we get to October, you could see some creep. And that creep may be like June or July of 2014. Because again, as we've talked about and repeated a lot, dates of filing are merely how the Department of State accounts for applicants and reaches out to them to begin preparing all of the appropriate documents in the document list that they provide. What this allows is that for individuals to become what they call documentarily qualified. Okay. And then once those individuals are documentarily qualified, they generally then are accounted for as a number for a future month, and it allows the Department of State to look ahead in sort of 8 to 12 month increments. So someone like you who's like 2 months away, man, I think you're right there, Ashwani. If I'm going to be honest with you, literally, you're knocking on the door here. The next few months should be very interesting for you. And I think the other interesting thing is if you think about, hey, January 1st, 2013 are final action dates for India EB3. So really, when you start to look at where you are in the scheme of things, that's 15 months. I'll have to open it up. Give me a second. I'll open it up. But there was some very similar movement that happened, in the July bulletin. But I don't think, based on what I saw yesterday from the chats with Charlie, that you'll see that kind of movement. Yeah, 550 days forward movement for EB3 India in July's bulletin. It went from February, or excuse me, it went from, I'll have to pull it up, but it was the 550 days. That's a crazy number if you think about. That's over a year and a half, right? So it went from November 1st, 2011, okay, all the way to January 1st, 2013, completely skipped all of 2012. So anyone who's an EB3 with a final action date in 2012 just literally jumped for joy when they saw that. So just so cool. But really appreciate you jumping in. I hope that helps. Wanted to just ask you again if you have any other questions or comments. Really appreciate any of those that you have. Would love to answer any questions that you have. Also wanted to remind you, if you're looking for ways that you could support the H1B Guy platform, you can do so through the super chat function here right now during the live stream on YouTube. You can also do so through buymeacoffee.com/the H1B Guy. Again, any of those contributions are reinvested back into the technology here on the platform. Actually, help for me to purchase the paid subscription here on Restream. I unfortunately haven't had a chance to play with it enough, but I know that there's a lot of cool things that I can do, and definitely will try to do in the very near future. Here on Restream and bringing out more live streams to you. I definitely try, and I think a lot of you know that, to do at least 2 videos in a live stream a week. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. But that's been the format that I've fallen into, that I think really works best for the platform and for me and for all of you. I know some of my releases have, excuse me, been a little bit out of line and haven't been as consistent. I love to do Monday releases, but I've been really busy at doing a lot of my consulting work, and just haven't had the chance to get that content out on Mondays. I'll work on creating a more consistency, but just know that Monday through sometimes Saturday, each week I'm going to try to put out at a minimum 3 videos for you a week, and that is pre-produced content as well as live streams where we do Q&As and other interviews. So thank you all so much. Hey, my good friend Samir. I don't know if you were on earlier, but I gave you a big shout out. Thank you so much. Good to see you. I hope you and your family are well. And just again, I'm so appreciative of you and your unwavering support. Will it be possible to bring people from Cato, like David, and people from all of us to have a conversation on the Eagle Act 2021? That's a great question. I'm definitely working on trying to get some more individuals from both sides. As I've mentioned, I've recently I mentioned this a while ago, but David and I are connected on Twitter. We've shared some messages. We've done some stuff on Clubhouse. It's been a while since we've done that, but done a few things there with him and the director there, Alex Narasta. Love the stuff that the guys at Cato do. What David has done for Documented Dreamers has been incredible. The analytics and the reporting that they use is something that I enjoy covering, and will tell you that it's great content. There's the folks at the NFAP. They use a lot of data-driven content, but again, you're going to have organizations like SUP all of us, SUP all of us, right? And those individuals with groups like that are tough to have conversations with. A lot of screening and vetting would have to be involved to have those kind of different extremities on the platform and the channel. I definitely would be interested in hosting something like that, but understand that again, you got to get yeses. I'll work on that. I definitely want to produce content and do interviews and live streams with stuff that you guys are interested in seeing and listening to and hearing more about. I think one of the consistent themes and one of the things that a lot of you have always told me that you like about how I present is that I cover both sides. I'm willing to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and what my opinion is on everything sort of in between. I've had conversations with many folks from both sides, and I'm going to continue to do my part to bridge that gap between the extremes. And it really comes back to, my shirt, you can't really see it, but listen, I'm a USA guy for first and foremost. Always have been, always will be. I love this country. I want to leave this country in a better place for my kids and your kids. But what I know, 80% of my audience is high-skilled immigrants here in the U.S. That other 20% are generally employers and staffing professionals. But that 80% of you that's out there, I know you love this country too. But what you are is you're frustrated. And there's a lot of anxiety that's been created because of some of our archaic laws that we have in place. And those laws date back to 1990. Think about how many of you that are living and working here in this country that were born after 1990. It's pretty crazy when you think about it in that sort of context. And that those are laws that we're basing it off of. And listen, the definition of insanity is to continue to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. Unfortunately, the cycle is what the cycle is. And until we have reform, and until more voices like mine continue to speak out and bring awareness to it, we're going to continue to be in the same situation that we are now. That won't change. And so that's one of the things that I will tell you has been so personally gratifying and satisfying for me, is that I have been able to create an outlet and be a unique voice in this space. A lot of individuals out there that talk about this are immigration attorneys and individuals that are living as high-skilled immigrants currently in the U.S. or even expatriates. And a lot of you ask me, hey, do I watch this guy on YouTube, or do I watch that guy on YouTube, or this girl on YouTube? And that answer is no. I don't watch a lot of immigration news on YouTube. Um, I just don't. I know a lot of you do, and there's a lot of great channels out there. I see them marketed to me on my dashboard, but I haven't watched a lot of immigration content out there, and I think that also allows me to keep my opinion honest and unique. But again, not saying that you shouldn't support those other channels, because I know that they are popular for a reason, and they have the success that they do for a reason. And that's the same reason that I'm going to continue to be me, and bring you this unfiltered approach and this honesty to employment based immigration, and why I think things need to change, but some data driven analytics around why they need to change. So, um, thanks, Raj. Just really appreciate you jumping in. Thank you for appreciating my insight. Right, just to know that my opinion is valued really means a lot. Wanted to ask you again if you've got any questions. I got a few more minutes here. Definitely going to be want to wrap up towards the top of the hour. But if you have any other questions or comments, would love to take a few minutes to address those while I can. But while we do that, I also wanted to talk about HR 3648 really quickly. I alluded it. Thanks, guys. I don't know what happened there. My internet connection dropped. I do apologize if you're still with me. Really appreciate it. Um, but what I was going to say is we were talking about the Eagle Act and when I think it may come to a vote. My my assumption is that it's probably going to be sometime in the next 90 days that we'll see that. But ultimately that's to be determined. It's really difficult to predict, but that's just what my assumption was when it was first released. So we'll continue to monitor that. But just wanted to thank everyone who took the time to join in here this afternoon and asking questions. Just really appreciate it. I have a couple more minutes here. If we're still out live, if you have any questions, please feel free, put those in the chat. What I'll do right now is we'll just go ahead and do a copy read here and remind everyone that today's live stream was brought to you by RecruiterNetworks.com, the smart solution for digital perm ads and local job board postings since 2001. This national job board network provides recruitment websites in 1,024 major U.S. metro areas. Each local job board is its own portal and is a low-cost resource for immigration recruitment ads for all industries and professions, with a flat price of $225 per ad, regardless of which city you choose. RecruiterNetworks.com has been the #1 place for immigration attorneys, immigration ad agencies, and employers to meet the DOL requirements for the digital portion of the perm advertisement rules. RecruiterNetworks.com. Tell them the H1B guy sent you. And this live stream is also brought to you by Path to Canada. Path to Canada provides an ideal plan B for high-skilled immigrants currently located in the U.S. whose status may be uncertain. If you're facing an H-1B denial or OPT expiration, don't get caught off guard. Make sure you have a plan B, and Path to Canada is your answer. If you're interested in finding out more, they will gladly help you navigate the process. Please click the link in the video description below. So thank you, Mark and Richard, for your continued and unwavering support. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to adding my good friend Carl and perm-ads.com on starting in July. A special thanks to all the questions and comments from all of you who jumped in here this afternoon. Apologies for the technical difficulty. My internet just decided to cut out while I was live streaming. It looks like it kept the broadcast up though. So hopefully there's only a slight delay in the stream when it does publish out onto YouTube. But from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you to every one of you who has liked the H1B Guy, subscribed to the H1B Guy on YouTube. Just really appreciate your support. And hey, Chetan, how are you? Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for jumping in here today. You're a huge supporter of this channel and just really appreciate it. Thanks for all of your ongoing support. There's so many folks like Chetan out there that jump in on these streams on a weekly basis. And so thank you. I can't do this without you. Just from the bottom of my heart, just so appreciative of your support, of your viewership, and of your friendship. And, I always say, if I can help you, please reach out. I'd love to hear how. I genuinely mean that. If I can help you, please reach out. I'd love to hear how. If you're an employer that's having issues with the recruitment process, work authorization in the recruitment process, let me help you avoid risk. If you're an individual who's seeking some guidance and a non-biased third-party opinion on your situation, let me help you. I can definitely do that. I assure you that I have a significant book of clients that would be willing to be a reference for me and tell you that I can definitely help you. But honestly, just for my family and all of my friends and everyone who thought, wow, what are you doing? This is such a crazy thing. Here I am a year into it, and the business continues to grow. My client base continues to grow, but ultimately the awareness that I'm bringing to employment-based benefits, to issues in the H-1B cycle, to the green card backlog, to documented dreamers, to these massive processing delays that we're seeing at USCIS. Thank you for allowing me to be a voice for you. You can find me on the H1B Guy on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn, Robert Bouchard on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook, the H1B Guy. on Instagram, the H1B Guy, the H1B Guy podcast on Anchor, as well as the Telegram channel, the H1B Guy Telegram channel. So thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you, Raj, for the coffee. Just really appreciate it, man. It just means so much. Thank you for everyone who took the time here to jump in and celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the H1B Guy. I'm Robert. I'm the H1B Guy, your global source for all things H1B.